Oh, yeah. Welcome back to Dice Voyeurs. This is John, and I am here with my wonderful wife.
Roxy.
You know us. So we have a new item to talk about today. And interesting item. This is going to be a homemade item that we discovered, or I discovered.
Yeah, you discovered it. It was while we were at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, not Gen
No.
Con. Not Gen Con. We were in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Staying with our executive producer.
Yeah.
And
we were in town for just spending some time.
We came in for a memorial for another a member of the Nerds Domain. And it was back in February, and we were actually funding a lot of Kickstarters because we just sold the house, and so we were getting in on a lot of stuff that we had been keeping our eye on.
And we stumbled across this Kickstarter. But before we get to that, we got some new dice trivia to talk about today.
Dice trivia?
So, I have never heard this before, but there is actually someone that it is claimed is the creator and originator of dice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't believe it because we know that dice predate this person. But it was in the Encyclopedia Britannica for a while.
Oh, it's wrong. The Britannica is wrong.
And the story goes that Sophocles reported that dice were invented by this individual, the legendary Greek Palamedes, during the siege of Troy. And so, I mean, obviously, the whole argument of did Troy even exist? I don't know, and I think historians argue that all the time.
Troy?
Yeah, Troy.
I thought Troy actually existed. 'Cause
There's
there's Helen of Troy.
There's Helen of Troy, but it's one of those things where it's a legend, but it's also something that's tied to history a little bit. It's that blurring of lines. It's kind of like the Amazons. Do they exist as we know them, or are they legendary figures such as the famous Hippolyta? Did she actually exist? And it's a good question because
I guess I'm just gullible because I just assumed all these things were. I mean, not maybe the mythical things of them, but I just assumed that they were all based in truth.
Well, and that's the thing. These stories could be. It's like King Arthur. We know that there was a King Arthur. There was a argument of whether or not there was a round table and knights thereof, but they have found what they believe to be the ruins of Camelot. So it's one of those things where maybe the stories aren't true, but the people did exist. It's an interesting name, Sophocles. A lot of people don't know who he is. Sophocles wrote the famous story of Oedipus Rex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he is also the person who originally framed the term in 400, I think it was 400 BC, said that all men of Crete were immoral, along those lines, which became a very famous thing repeated throughout history, and where we get the term Cretan.
Right. So. I understand that. I just know Sophocles was the name of the fox that belonged to, I think it was Cavax O Telemanus in Red Rising.
Oh.
Or the second one.
Well, there we go.
That was the name of, he had a little fox that I actually have a keychain that I got from my Illumicrate box that is Sophocles, but it's a little fox that used to wrap up around his shoulders. It was cute. I like it.
Awesome. So let's talk about the item we have here today.
Yeah, because and we will address, and my apologies to the creator if something I say is, it's more my ignorance. But when John first showed this to me, I just thought it was a dice box.
Yeah. Online, for many people who are unaware of what this holds, and we'll start there.
I mean, it's a nice looking box.
Oh, it's a wonderful. I'll come to the appearance in a moment, but so when it was first launched, it was going to be a Kickstarter, and it was called Complete Craftworks was, I believe, the name of his company, and this was called the Dice Masters Storage Box. Now, if you've never heard of Dice Masters as a game, the idea of Dice Masters Storage Boxes sounds like a really good idea.
Yeah, I just thought it was a big... In fact, when I saw it, I was like, really? That doesn't look like it can hold as many dice as I thought it could. And the reason being, I didn't know what Dice Masters was.
Yeah.
I have heard of a lot of games that I've never played. I had never heard of this. And as soon as John explained to me what it was, then I started realizing that I was seeing it all over stores, and I just didn't understand that it was something different.
Yeah.
So that's all on me.
Yeah.
So if I'd have known that it was made for a game specifically, I would not have said, get it.
Yeah.
I would have been like, because John had asked me, he's like, do you want to back this? And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea, because it's supposed to hold like 140 or 160 some dice or something, right?
And goodness, who doesn't want an organizer that can hold that many dice?
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, sure. If I'd have known it was a game, we probably wouldn't have backed it. Sorry. But because we don't, unfortunately, Dice Masters dice
if you
are not standard
size,
16 millimeter dice.
They are much smaller.
Yeah, 10 to 12, I think.
Dice Masters, for our listeners out there, think Heroes Clicks Hero Click. The game is multi-genre, like Harry Potter, the Avengers, whatever, and you have all these characters that are represented by a series of dice. And it can be played competitively. It can be played in a almost semi-campaign way. Where you're attacking a singular structure, and you can mix and match them all together.
Yeah, it's considered a dice building game, which I guess the originator of the dice building genre is Quarriors, which is another game that I haven't played, but I do believe I've heard of it. But that's probably because we go to the WizKids site every so often.
Yeah,
I mean we don't do a whole lot of collecting games.
No, we don't, and mainly just because if we're going to drop a lot of money, we want as many different games as possible. We're not looking to drop a whole lot of money into a singular genre. Probably the one game that breaks that rule is Mansions of Madness.
Yeah, and you've dropped quite a penny on Force of Will. Now I know that that's a collector card game, trading card game, but we don't know anybody to trade with.
No, and I've built
and
all the sets.
We prefer to play.
Yeah.
Ourselves.
Yeah, and I've built my sets, and I've got boxes where when friends come over, they can have a box and play with us and stuff like that.
But I did notice that Dice Masters, I know this isn't a show about Dice Masters, it's about this case. But I did look up, and the guys behind it are Michael Elliott, who also worked on Quarriors, as well as Eric M. Lang. Worked on Quarriors as well, I think, and he works on this. Do you know other games that he's done?
Not off the top of my head.
I recognize his name
familiar.
Because I was just in a game demo this weekend for a game that he designed.
Really?
But I'm pretty sure he does. He's done a few of the games, if not a lot of them, for Cool Mini or Not. I know he did Rising Sun. I'm pretty sure he does Zombicide. But I'm looking him up right now.
No, now you're mentioning that, I think I've seen his name on something.
He's done Fantasy Flight stuff. He was a playtester for FASA.
Oh, goodness. Wow. Why did I not know this?
Because you didn't look. No. Let's see here. Yeah,
my knowledge is more on the RPG side than on the board game and
Blood Rage.
Wow. Yeah. Good games.
Well,
good
and
games.
that makes sense because Rising Sun does feel very Blood Ragey. But
yeah.
But no, this box, it's actually a really cool box. I probably wouldn't have been supportive of picking it up if I knew that it was. But I do have an idea, and I'll get to that later after John describes the box more. I'll have an idea of what we can use it for.
So looking at this box, I want to say first and foremost, it is a very pretty box. The corners are very well routed and sanded. I mean, this thing looks like it was perfectly cut by more machine than a person. I mean, it is really it looks very, very nice. It has been stained with what I would guess is more of a water stain and a light or dark oak kind of color. It is flat. It doesn't have a eggshell patina to it or anything. It has very simple stain, very elegant appearance to it.
It's got a very natural look.
You open it up, and the area that is set aside for the dice is extremely, in my opinion, well cut.
Yeah, his router or whatever he used in here is. I will go on our last show. We looked at something that was put out by one of the more prominent right now, handmade woodwork group, artisan woodcrafting groups that is selling gaming accessories. And I have to say, the work on these dice, what would we call these? Slots, or I'm trying to think of what the rows where you would store
the ridges
your dice.
that are angled for the dice to set on.
Yeah, it is of a much higher production quality.
Yeah.
Than the items we reviewed last week.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I hate to say that. I don't hate to say that, but I made my comments known in the last episode. But this is really well done.
Yeah, it is extremely well cut.
I was really bummed when my dice wouldn't fit in it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it looks really nice, and then when you put your dice in it and it doesn't close, you use standard size dice, we were a little sad.
Yeah.
Now I will say that the model that he sent us, okay?
Yeah.
It is 2 different thicknesses of wood, which gives it a different appearance.
Yeah, the top is a little thinner than the bottom.
Thinner than the bottom, which gives it almost a box kind of look to it.
Yeah, no, I believe it's completely intentional.
Yeah, it's definitely
because the divots on the top are also more shallow than the divots on the bottom.
Absolutely. So overall, and appearance-wise, on those aspects, this is a really, really, really nice item. And if you're a Dice Masters person, I think that, especially for the price point that he was offering these at, it definitely works. Now, he...
what is the size that we got? We got the big one, right? Was it 164?
Let me look here. I actually have it pulled up, and it's 166 dice.
166, okay.
When it was pledged online for the Kickstarter, it was at $44. So for $44 for something that can hold 166 dice,
that's pretty cool.
That is
how much was it?
Great. It's $44.
44?
Yeah, that was what he had it at. Now, unfortunately, it did not kickstart.
It did not. Yeah, it did not fully fund.
I was very sad for him, and knowing at the same time that it was a dice box that was meant for a very specific purpose,
it kind of made sense.
Yeah,
because people may not have been looking for it. Or if they knew what Dice Masters was or had looked it up, they might have been like, oh, well, this would be cool for larger dice. But I have an idea of what we can use for it. I need to actually test my 12 millimeter size dice in there.
Yeah.
In it. Because I do have 3 sets of 12 millimeter size dice.
Oh.
But one of the dice purveyors that we have bought from, it's on Amazon, it's Wiz Dice is the dice purveyor. And they do like the bags.
Yes.
I think they're like $35 or something, and they do little like bags of it. They include at least I want to say like 13 sets of dice.
Yes.
We bought their bag of tricks. I think it used to be called the Trickster's Trove bag, which that is full size dice, so they won't fit in here. But they have a Halfling's Haversack that is mini dice.
Oh.
I think it's all 12 millimeter size dice. So if 12 millimeter size dice fit in here, which I'm pretty sure they do, I tried to get an official ruling on what size the Dice Masters dice were, and some people were like, I think it's 12. Some people said I think it's 10, but I'm pretty sure I'll test it later tonight, and I've just kept forgetting. If my 12 millimeters will fit in here, I'll just pick up that Halfling's Haversack with all the mini dice in it, and we'll store those in here. Because that's what I was going to put in here was my bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Because I thought that would be a really cool display set for it. But anyhow, so I think it's still usable for us, and on the off chance that we ever get into Dice Masters, I don't see that happening, but if it does, we will definitely put this to use. Because it is a beautiful box. Heck, I could use it as a pencil case if I really wanted to.
Yeah, no, this is a wonderful, wonderful looking piece. Now,
I could also, when we get our art table set up, I'll just put all my mini brushes in it.
Oh, there you go.
And this will be it's like a cigar box of mini. I mean, it's not shaped like a cigar box, but
yeah,
it's like a fountain pen box.
Yep. The only 2 critiques I would offer on it are going to be the hinges and the latches. Now, because I think that more than likely the woodworking is phenomenal. I do want to say that the woodworking on this is phenomenal.
It really does look nice.
Yeah. The hinges and latches, though, I think that were it me, I would want to go another step up in the quality thereof.
They are a little thin.
They're a little bit thin. They're also...
But that also cuts down on cost.
Yeah, it does cut down on cost, but at the same time, because they're so thin and you're dealing with smaller screws, it's very easy for them not to line up quite right.
Yeah, and it is a little off.
And so, yeah, it can be a little off when you do that. And so it's one of those things where maybe make it an option. Now, the name of the creator is Alex Lorson, who does Complete Craftworks, and he has moved on to Etsy. And so you can actually pick up this box now on Etsy. And like I said, this is a phenomenal piece of work.
Mm-hmm. No, he has some skills.
So if you are a Dice Masters collector out there, or know anyone who is a Dice Masters collector, or if you are dealing dice at that same size, this is probably the perfect box for what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So I will say that. And
yeah, because this would easily fit in a bag.
Oh yeah.
So like if you're headed to the game store with your dice and you want a case, this would fit easily in with anything else that your card box or whatever. Because your cards don't fit in here, just your dice.
I like it. I like this piece. I like this creator. I hope that, honestly, and I'm going to say this, I hope that he begins to craft other forms of dice boxes and dice,
for sure.
Coffins or trays or whatever out there. Because if he can do this level of quality and begin to expand his product range, I would certainly support it.
Yeah, I would love to see. In fact, this is another key point that I did not understand, or I didn't look close enough when John showed me the Kickstarter listing. I had hoped that the top would just be open, so we could almost use it as like a dice tray. But, no. Any other kind of... Since we do more in the RPGs and we use full-size dice generally, we would be very open to something like that. Pay good money for it, too.
Absolutely.
Be very honest about that, so... But no, it's a great piece, and I wish him all the best. It's a bummer that it didn't kickstart, but that was the first time I'd ever heard of Dice Masters. Not saying that that's everybody's experience, but yeah, great piece. We'll have pictures up on the blog, and we will have links to his Complete Craftworks store. That's our show for tonight.
Thank you so much, Alex, for sending us along this box. We've enjoyed looking at it and reviewing it, so thank you very much.
So thank you guys for listening, and we will catch you next time. You've been listening to Dice Voyeurs. Please subscribe to get our episodes as soon as they release. For more information about us, check out PassionNerdly.com, @PassionNerdly on Twitter and Instagram, as well as Facebook.com/PassionNerdly. Also, if you're interested in supporting our show, look us up at Patreon.com/PassionNerdly. Once again, thank you for listening.
This has been a production of the Southgate Media Group. For more podcasts like this one, head over to SouthgateMediaGroup.com.